Andre Dallas. I'll tell you what. I'll take Brian Barnhart. I'll put him up against any play-by-play guy in the country.
Oh, he's
great.
The best ever.
He's great. It's phenomenal. And I know what he had fun doing last weekend, calling that win over Maryland. Good morning, Brian, and happy homecoming weekend.
Hey, happy homecoming to you, Steve and Andrea. Good to visit with you guys. And I literally walked out of basketball practice, so that season's coming up too. So they're going to start overlapping starting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes Brian will get confused to be in the middle of a football game. He'll say shoots for 3. No, Brian, not that. Not yet. That's later.
What a great game last weekend though with Maryland.
Oh, tremendous.
Oh, outstanding.
Tremendous. And you know what, Brian? Coach was on with us, and I remember talking to him last summer, and I said this to him, and I know you know this is the case, but I said this to him for the public consumption here that he knew there'd be bumps in the road this fall, but he also knew he had a lot of talent on the team. And there was something about last week when I said, go get him, man. Let's get one at Maryland. He said, it's going to get done.
Yeah.
And he delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, absolutely. And that's the thing you got to have in the locker room is, a coach, and you got to have players that believe in the coach and believe in what they're doing, and you just keep hammering away at it. And that's what I like about Coach Bielema and he's had a lot of success. He knows how to win football games. And they had some issues with, offensive line and trying to be more consistent offensively and so forth, but you just keep chopping wood, as they say. You just keep hammering on it. And I know that he felt confident going into the game, and as you guys said, it came out as an Illini victory. And, I think for a lot of fans, fans were pretty discouraged after the Nebraska game. And, even a lot of the experts around here, the sports writers, that said, hey, I think it's time to go to basketball. And, they proved everybody wrong last week. And that's what those kind of wins are the sweetest to get, I think, when everybody outside your locker room doesn't think you can win, and then you go out and do it. And that was really satisfying.
Great momentum going into Saturday. It is homecoming, playing the Wisconsin Badgers. 4-2. They're 4-2. We're 3-4. But do you think we can build on this momentum? By the way, Steve, I know you know this. Homecoming started at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign.
I did not know that.
Yep. I think the Greeks invented everything, but U of I, homecoming, 1910.
Turns out you invented everything.
Very first homecoming. But do you think we can build on this momentum from Maryland to beat the Badgers?
Oh, I believe so. By the way, the old song, we didn't start the fire. We did start the homecoming.
That's right.
At Illinois, for sure. But, yes, because, for one thing, Wisconsin has put a new coach in, of course, Luke Fickell, and they've been changing the offensive style that they run, and there's always, when you come in a first year like that, it always takes a little while to get all of that figured out. So at times, offensively, they've been a little clunky trying to put in this new system under their new coach. And then they lost their starting quarterback. Tanner Mordecai's out for the game, so they now have a backup who, ironically, was at Mississippi State last year, who we played in the bowl game. He didn't play. And then our quarterback, of course, transferred in from Ole Miss. So you've got an Ole Miss quarterback that transferred, a Mississippi State quarterback going at it on Saturday. But defensively, they're pretty solid, but I think we're catching them at a good time. And so many times in sports, it's who you play and when you play them. And I think after our momentum win against Maryland, they had a tough time with Iowa last week, losing at home. I think it's a good time to play Wisconsin.
Packers-Bears is always a little bit extra, right? And I know Bielema would say, no, it's another game, and we got to be just as prepared against Wisconsin as we are against everybody else. There's got to be a little extra juice in him to go out and beat Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would think so. It was probably extra sweet for him last year because we won up in Madison.
Right.
Where, of course, he had all that success. What's happened now, though, I think, is a lot of the staff has turned over with the new coach, Luke Fickell, and new defensive coordinator. And in fact, guys, a lot of the staff members that we have here in Champaign are guys that either played for Coach B or worked with him at Wisconsin. So a lot of the Wisconsinites, if you will, are now working for Illinois on this side of the ball, and a lot of the guys at Wisconsin that are on the staff are pretty new. So. But you're right. I would think, he had so much success. He left to go to Arkansas, eventually got fired there, wound up in the NFL with Bill Belichick and the Patriots and then the Giants, and comes back to the Big Ten. And I know deep down he would certainly like to beat Wisconsin again, I would think. And probably the same holds true to, even though it's his alma mater, to beat Iowa.
Sure.
Right. And then 2 years ago, I think, was the walk-off field goal where we beat Wisconsin too. So maybe building on some of that as well. But you know what, Brian? I'm loving watching Luke Altmaier develop. I love that pass with the 50-yard pass that set up the field goal last week, but I'm really liking watching him. I'm feeling much more comfortable with him because the void with Tommy DeVito, I think he's filling it nicely.
Oh, he is, yeah, and he probably, Tommy was really accurate with a lot of short passes. Luke can throw a pretty good deep ball, and he's got some good receivers. Isaiah Williams is leading the Big Ten in receptions and yards. And then you've got Pat Bryant, who he's got his 5th touchdown now. You mentioned the long throw last week. Casey Washington has had a good year. Yes, he throws a very good ball. His big thing was he had played some at Ole Miss before he transferred, but he hadn't really started a lot of games. And so he's still kind of growing into what he's got a couple more years here that he could be really, really good. He's already good, and if we can give him some time to throw the football, we've shown what he can do.
I gave Coach a free play and a name for it, and it's a bit of a trick play. It's a pause and a pass. It might look like something you've seen before. It's called the Brat Stop, and it's called Brat Stop on 2. And look for it this weekend. If it looks like a little stutter play in the huddle, I gave that to Coach.
Okay. Well, I'll mention that if I see it. I'll mention that to my color guy, Martin O'Donnell, and we'll see if he picks up on that.
Yeah, and you could say, I don't think Steve was on his meds. So, when you have 3 losses in conference, obviously you can't lose. So this will be a huge win this weekend. Mm-hmm. But don't think this team's not going to get back to a bowl. They're going to keep winning, and they're going to get it done. And it's gettable. It is week to week. It is one game at a time. It's why those cliches exist, because they're true.
Right, and look at the numbers. Oh. Illinois is 22-19 against the Badgers in Champaign, so make that 23 on Saturday.
Yep, including that game winner that you mentioned from a few years ago. And, just on paper, and things change during the course of the year, but on paper they played the toughest part of the schedule. At Kansas, Penn State, highly ranked. So you've got a Wisconsin team that's kind of trying to figure things out. You've still got Indiana coming. You've got Northwestern coming. You go to Minnesota, who's struggling some. So there's a lot of, potential wins out there in front of them. And I think the bye week next week comes at a good time because this will be 8 straight weeks they've played coming up after the game with Wisconsin. So a week off in between, and then you can kind of gear up for the final month of the season.
Great talking to you, Brian. Have a great game.
Hey, good to visit with you, Steve and Andrea. Always great to hear from you, and go Illini.
Go Illini. We'll see you out there on Saturday, Brian.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Take care, my friend.
ILL.
The best. INI.
See what happened there?
Yeah, I love that. Do that again.
ILL.
Yeah.
Pretty good, man.
I love that. It's like the little team cheer, the team rally cry.
Right. You brought in all sorts of homecoming stuff today, Miranda. We'll put those pictures up of your swag.
Got some trivia I can ask you.
And we're going to be there this weekend, so we'll post pictures from the game.
Yes. Miranda's coming with her family to the homecoming game. You're going to see a good game, Miranda.